Welcome. Before you say a word to any man, there's something you absolutely must know. It's not about looks, not about charm. It's a subtle art, one that can change everything. If you want to truly captivate, to be unforgettable, and to hold his attention like never before, then listen closely, because what comes next will surprise you. Let's get started. Imagine this. A woman in her 50s walks into a room, and suddenly every man's attention shifts toward her. Not because she's trying too hard, not because she's dazzling in some flashy outfit, but because of something much deeper, something invisible yet undeniable. She doesn't raise her voice or play obvious games. She simply moves through the crowd like a secret the universe has whispered only to a few. And men? They find themselves inexplicably drawn in, almost powerless to look away. Caught in a silent spell woven by her words, her pauses, the subtle dance of her conversation. What if I told you this isn't magic? It's not luck. It's a skill. A powerful, seductive art of conversation that you can learn, master, and wield. And the most surprising part? It works at any age. Yes, even after 50, even after decades of life's ups and downs. You might be thinking, I'm too old for this. I've missed my chance. But what if that's exactly what they want you to believe? What if the truth is your best and most captivating self is still waiting to be unleashed? Hidden behind the way you talk, the way you listen, the way you hold the invisible strings of intrigue. Let me share with you a story, or rather a glimpse of one. A woman once told me about a night when she transformed from invisible to unforgettable in less than an hour. She entered a small gathering, blending in at first, just another face among many. But by the time the evening was over, she had not just one man's attention but a whole room's fascination, all without revealing more than a fraction of herself. How? She didn't reveal everything. She never does. She teased, she hinted, she made space for mystery. Every word was like a note in a melody, every silence like a beat that made the music irresistible. There's a secret here. A dangerous, addictive secret. Because when you master this, men don't just listen to you. They become obsessed with your presence, your voice, the subtle power behind your words. They find themselves wanting to know more, craving the next glimpse, the next hint, the next silent pause pregnant with meaning. But beware, this power is double-edged. Used carelessly, it can backfire. Used clumsily, it can push them away. That's why you need to learn the 4 flirting tricks that turn ordinary conversation into a hypnotic dance of attraction. And no, these tricks aren't about cheap lines or hollow compliments. They're about tapping into the deepest layers of human connection, about speaking a language older than words, the language of desire, curiosity, and subtle dominance. In fact, these tricks have been guarded for ages, whispered among a select few, hidden behind closed doors and knowing smiles. They're the kind of secrets that make the difference between a forgettable chat and a conversation that lingers in memory long after the words fade. Picture this: you sit across from a man you barely know. The room hums with chatter, but your voices become an island of stillness, charged, electric, and impossible to ignore. You don't have to say much. A tilt of your head, a well-placed pause, a carefully crafted story fragment, and suddenly he's hooked. Does this sound like a fantasy? A story from a novel or an old movie? I promise you it's not. This is real, and it's waiting for you to claim it. Yet, you won't get this magic by accident. You won't stumble upon it in casual chit-chat or by mimicking cliches from dating guides. It takes understanding, practice, and a willingness to step beyond comfort zones. The moment you start speaking with this new confidence, this new skill, something changes. The world shifts. Men see you differently, respond differently, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see yourself in a whole new light. But before you rush off to try any random advice, you must hear this. There are 4 essential flirting tricks. 4 keys to unlock this seductive power. Miss one and the spell breaks. Nail them all, and you wield a force few can resist. In the next parts, I'll reveal these secrets step by step. But for now, imagine the possibilities, the thrill of mastering a conversation that makes men obsessed. Not with your looks, but with your essence. Are you ready to discover what most women over 50 don't even know exists? To learn what the truly confident, alluring women have already mastered? Hold that thought, because what you're about to learn could change how you relate to men forever. And trust me, once you step into this world, you'll never talk to a man the same way again. The moment you realize that talking less can actually say more is when everything begins to change. It sounds almost counterintuitive, doesn't it? We think conversation means filling the space with words, sharing stories, asking questions non-stop. But what if the secret to making a man hang on your every word lies not in talking more, but in knowing when to pause? I remember a woman named Helen, who in her early 60s felt invisible at social gatherings. She was tired of conversations that fizzled out, of men looking away distractedly as she spoke. One evening she tried something new. Instead of rushing to fill every silence, she let the pauses linger just a little longer. Instead of explaining everything in detail, she left sentences unfinished, inviting curiosity rather than giving it all away. The effect was almost magical. Men leaned in closer, their eyes flickering with intrigue. Instead of zoning out, they started asking questions, but not the shallow kind. They wanted to understand her, not just her words, but the feelings behind them. This is the power of timing, the art of holding space in a conversation. It's not about awkward silences or nervous gaps. It's a deliberate dance, a rhythm you create where your words become highlights, not just noise. Each pause acts like a beat in a song, making the melody more memorable, more enticing. When you master this rhythm, you don't just talk to a man, you engage him on a deeper level. You awaken his curiosity. You challenge his mind to fill in the blanks, to imagine what you're not saying. That's where desire often takes root, in mystery, in the invitation to explore. There's something almost primal about it. Men are wired to chase, to seek, to discover. When you give them everything up front, there's no hunt left. But when you hold back just enough, when you pause and let your silence speak, you become an enigma. You become irresistible. Helen's story isn't unique. Many women find that once they start trusting the power of their pauses, their conversations transform. They become less about reporting facts and more about weaving stories that breathe and pulse. Takes courage, though, to stay silent when you want to fill the void, to resist the urge to over-explain or to rush toward the next topic. But the reward is worth it, because in those moments of silence, a subtle tension builds, a magnetic pull that no amount of words could create. You might wonder, how do you know when to pause? It's an art that requires attunement to the man you're speaking with, to the flow of your dialogue, to the energy in the room. Sometimes a pause is brief, just a heartbeat, letting a thought settle. Other times it's longer, inviting a reaction, a question, a spark. And when you do speak again, your words carry more weight. They feel deliberate, chosen, almost precious. You become a storyteller who commands attention without shouting. This approach also gives you space to listen, truly listen, which is another secret to seductive conversation. When you're not rushing to fill silence, you catch the little things. The way his eyes shift, the subtle changes in his tone, the emotions hiding behind his words. Listening deeply lets you respond with empathy and insight. You connect not just with what he says, but with what he feels. And feeling understood is one of the most powerful draws you can offer. Helen described it once as turning a casual chat into a dance where both partners know the steps without speaking them. It's graceful, intoxicating, and far from accidental. So next time you're in a conversation, try this. Slow down. Let your words breathe. Pause with purpose. Watch how his gaze follows, how his interest sharpens, how the atmosphere thickens with something unspoken yet electric. It's not about manipulation, it's about presence, about showing up fully and letting your natural rhythm guide the exchange. And remember, this skill doesn't depend on youth or looks. It grows from confidence, from knowing yourself well enough to be comfortable with silence and mystery. It's the kind of power that makes a man want to know you more, to keep coming back for the next conversation, the next glance, the next shared moment of silence. This is why mastering timing and pauses is the very first step in transforming your conversations into seductive connections. And once you feel that shift, when you see the difference in his eyes, you'll understand how profound this simple change can be. It's a secret weapon quietly waiting for you to claim. There's a moment in every conversation when words stop being just words. They become something more, threads weaving a tapestry of feelings, memories, and unspoken desires. This is the magic of storytelling, and it's one of the most powerful ways to connect with a man beyond the surface. Think back to a time when someone told you a story that made your heart race or your breath catch. A story so vivid, so alive, you felt like you were right there with them. Maybe it was a memory from their youth, a secret hope, or a moment of vulnerability carefully hidden beneath layers of strength. That story wasn't just entertainment, it was an invitation, an opening. This is what sets apart ordinary chatter from seductive conversation. When you tell a story, you give a man a glimpse into your world, but not the whole picture. You give him just enough to spark his imagination and kindle his curiosity. He starts to want more. He wants to be part of that world, to know what comes next, to see the colors behind your eyes. I once met a woman named Grace who mastered this art in the most unexpected way. At first, she was shy, hesitant to share anything too personal. But she discovered that storytelling wasn't about revealing everything at once. It was about choosing moments that stirred emotion, that hinted at passion and mystery without fully exposing it. One evening, she told a simple story about a summer night decades ago, standing under a sky thick with stars. She described the way the warm breeze felt on her skin, how the distant sound of music carried a promise of something wild and unknown. She didn't say what happened that night. She left it suspended like a question hanging in the air. The men listening were captivated. They weren't just hearing her words, they were feeling them. They were imagining themselves there, wanting to know the secret she held. Grace didn't need to be explicit or boastful. Her story did the work, painting pictures with emotion and leaving space for desire to grow. This is what storytelling and flirting is about. Awakening feelings that lie dormant in the listener. Making him see the world through your eyes, if only for a moment. Stirring memories or fantasies he didn't even realize he had. And in doing so, creating a bond that goes deeper than any small talk could. But there's an important balance to strike here. Too much detail can kill the mystery. Too little can leave the story feeling flat. The key is in what you don't say. The spaces between words that invite him to fill in the blanks with his own imagination. You might think this sounds complicated, but it's actually a natural rhythm once you start paying attention. Notice how some of the most memorable conversations you've had didn't reveal everything at once. They unfolded like a dance, with moments of revelation followed by moments of silence, moments of hinting followed by moments of pause. When you tell a story with this rhythm, you become irresistible. You're not just sharing. You're inviting him into your world, teasing him with glimpses, and awakening emotions that demand to be explored. There's also something deeply empowering about this. You decide what to share and what to keep hidden. You control the narrative, the pace, and the intensity. You become not just a speaker, but a storyteller, a keeper of secrets and a master of intrigue. And it's not just about romance or seduction. Storytelling connects us to each other's humanity. It's how we share hopes, dreams, fears, and desires. When you use storytelling in your conversations, you show that you're more than just surface deep. You show that you have layers, complexity, and passion. Imagine the difference this can make. A man listening to you won't just hear a story. He'll feel like he's stepping into a world he's been searching for without knowing it. He'll be drawn to you because you've awakened something in him. Curiosity, longing, fascination. It's also a way to reveal vulnerability without weakness. Sharing a personal story, even just a fragment, shows trust and openness. But because you hold back the full picture, you maintain your power and mystery. This is what makes storytelling such a seductive tool. It's not about oversharing or laying everything bare. It's about choosing moments that reveal your soul just enough to ignite a spark, but keep the flame burning bright with mystery. Think about how you can bring this into your own conversations. Maybe it's a memory of a place you love, a moment when you felt truly alive, or a dream you've never told anyone. Paint it with feeling, the sights, sounds, textures, and emotions, but leave the ending open, the story unfinished. Watch how he leans in, how his eyes search yours, how the silence between words grows thick with anticipation. That's when the real connection begins. You might feel a thrill at holding this power, at crafting your stories with intention and grace. It's a dance, yes, but also an art. And like any art, it takes practice. But every moment you spend honing your storytelling gifts brings you closer to a new kind of confidence. One that radiates from inside and draws others like a magnet. So next time you speak, remember this. Your stories are more than just words. They are invitations to a world only you can share. Use them wisely, use them boldly, and watch how a man's interest deepens not just in what you say, but in who you are. There's a quiet power in making someone feel truly seen. Not just noticed in passing, but genuinely recognized for who they are beneath the surface. This is a rare gift, and when wielded with grace, It becomes one of the most intoxicating parts of seductive conversation. Imagine a man who walks into a room carrying the weight of his day, the noise of his thoughts, maybe even the weariness of years behind him. Most people might glance at him and move on, but you have the ability to make him pause, to make him feel in a subtle yet profound way that he matters. This is where the art of the subtle compliment comes in. It's not about flattery or empty praise. It's about noticing something unique, something genuine, and reflecting it back to him in a way that makes his guard soften and his heart open. I recall a woman named Sarah, a vibrant soul in her late 50s, who discovered this secret quite by accident. She had a way of listening so intently that men felt like she was hearing parts of themselves they rarely showed. One evening, she told a man that she admired how his eyes held a certain calm strength, something steady amidst the chaos. That simple, sincere compliment caught him off guard. He hadn't realized he was giving off that impression, and suddenly he felt understood in a way that was rare and precious. From that moment, their conversation took on a new depth, a connection born from recognition and respect. But subtle compliments aren't the whole story. Alongside them, genuine curiosity breathes life into the exchange. Asking questions that invite a man to reveal his thoughts, his dreams, his stories without feeling interrogated creates a safe space where attraction can blossom naturally. The key is to approach curiosity not as a checklist of inquiries, but as a true interest in the person before you. When your questions come from a place of warmth and openness, they're like an invitation to step closer rather than a barrier to hide behind. There's a delicate balance here. Too much curiosity too quickly can feel intrusive, too little and the conversation falls flat. But when you sense the right moment to ask, to listen, and to reflect, you create a rhythm that feels effortless and magnetic. Sarah's conversations were not just about exchanging words. They were about weaving a tapestry of mutual discovery. When she complimented a man on something he barely noticed in himself, and then asked him gently about what made him that way, she sparked a dance of trust and intrigue. It's in these moments that attraction deepens. Not because of grand gestures, but because of small, meaningful exchanges that make a man feel valued. And when a man feels valued, he's drawn in closer, eager to reveal more, to be more. You might worry about saying the wrong thing or appearing too forward, but subtlety is your ally. A compliment given quietly with a genuine smile carries more weight than loud declarations. A question asked softly invites more honesty than rapid-fire interrogation. And this is where your presence becomes your greatest asset. Your ability to read the room, to notice the flicker in his eyes, the slight change in his tone, the way his body relaxes when he feels safe. These are your guides. They tell you when to speak, when to listen, when to compliment, when to ask. In a way, this is a dance without steps written down. You follow the flow, you respond to the rhythm, and you create a space where connection can grow. There's a story Sarah told me about a night when she complimented a man on his laughter, how it was genuine and contagious, lighting up the room like a secret flame. That compliment wasn't rehearsed. It was a truth she felt in the moment. The man's smile deepened, and for the first time that evening, he seemed fully present, letting his guard down. What followed wasn't just conversation. It was an exchange of energy, a meeting of two souls drawn together by subtle recognition. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the right words lined up. What matters is your intention, to see, to appreciate, to connect. When you approach conversations with this mindset, you move beyond superficial chatter. You invite intimacy without pressure. You show that beneath your confidence lies warmth and genuine interest. And men sense that. They're drawn not just to your words but to the space you create. A space where they can be themselves, be understood, and be admired. So as you step into your next conversation, remember this. The power of subtle compliments and heartfelt curiosity is not in grand declarations, but in quiet moments that say, "I see you. You matter." It's a simple truth, but one that holds the key to deep, lasting attraction. And when you master this, you don't just talk to men. You invite them into a world where connection feels effortless, natural, and deeply satisfying. There's a secret language beneath words, a playful whisper in glances, a gentle brush of skin, a teasing smile that speaks volumes without a single sentence. This is the art of flirtation at its most compelling. Playful teasing combined with confident, subtle touch. It's the final piece that turns connection into craving. Imagine a moment where laughter bubbles up unexpectedly, sparked not by a joke, but by the unspoken exchange in your eyes. A moment when your voice dips just slightly, hinting at a shared secret, a private joke only the two of you understand. This is the space where flirtation lives, light, effortless, and full of promise. I once knew a woman named Elise, who at 58 had mastered this art with a grace that was both disarming and intoxicating. She didn't need to lean in or speak loudly. Instead, she used the softest touch, a fleeting brush of her hand against his arm, a gentle tap on the shoulder, to punctuate her words and add layers of meaning. Her teasing wasn't about mockery or sarcasm. It was about creating a safe playground where both of them could explore desire without pressure. She knew how to balance warmth with a spark of challenge, making the man want to lean closer, to catch more of what she was offering. There's something deeply magnetic about this. It's like the dance before the music swells, the flicker of a flame before it grows into a blaze. Playful teasing invites curiosity, it says. There's more here, but you have to earn it. It keeps him engaged, wondering what's coming next, craving the next smile, the next light touch. At the same time, touch grounds the flirtation in the physical world. A soft graze of fingertips can speak of connection and intention more powerfully than words ever could. But it must be done with care and confidence. Too much too soon can overwhelm. Too little can leave the moment flat. Elise's secret was in timing. She knew when to let her hand linger just long enough to awaken awareness, when to pull back to build anticipation. Each touch was a punctuation mark in their conversation, a subtle signal of interest that left him wanting more. And this is where confidence shines brightest. You don't have to be bold or aggressive. You only need to be sure of yourself, to trust the power you hold in your presence. When you do, playful teasing and touch become an extension of your words, adding depth and excitement to every exchange. This skill isn't about manipulation or games. It's about creating connection through lightheartedness and shared intimacy. It's the delicate balance between revealing and withholding, between invitation and challenge. Men respond deeply to this dynamic because it speaks to their natural desire to pursue and engage. Playful teasing awakens their sense of adventure. Subtle touch anchors the emotional charge in the physical realm. Think of it like a secret conversation happening alongside the spoken one. A dialogue of sparks and smiles that says, I see you. I want to know you better. And I'm having fun doing it. There's a story Elise told me about a night when a simple joke about his favorite sport led to a teasing challenge. A playful wager accompanied by a light tap on his wrist. The game they started wasn't about winning or losing. It was about connection, laughter, and that delicious tension that made the room feel electric. That night, their conversation wasn't just talk. It was a dance of energy and attraction. A subtle push and pull that drew them closer without a word of pressure. You might wonder, how do you begin to use teasing and touch without feeling awkward? The answer lies in your comfort and awareness. Start small. A smile that lingers, a light touch when laughter bubbles up, a teasing comment delivered with warmth. Watch how he responds. Adjust. Trust your instincts. Remember, this isn't about rushing or forcing anything. It's about savoring the moment and letting attraction grow naturally through playful, confident signals. And the beauty of this art is that it belongs to you, no matter your age. Your experience, your confidence, your wisdom give you a unique advantage. You know yourself well enough to know what feels right, and you have the power to create moments that linger in his memory long after the conversation ends. When you combine the rhythm of your words, the depth of your stories, the sincerity of your compliments, and the spark of your teasing touch, you become utterly captivating. You don't just talk to men. You invite them into a world where connection is alive, playful, and charged with possibility. And in that world, desire grows effortlessly. By now, you've felt the power of silence, the way a well-timed pause pulls him closer into your world. You've glimpsed the magic of storytelling, how sharing moments that stir emotions sparks his curiosity like wildfire. You've discovered the strength in subtle compliments and genuine curiosity, how seeing him truly makes him want to open up. And you've touched the thrill of playful teasing and confident, delicate touches, the secret language that turns attraction into craving. But here's where the real mastery begins. Weaving all these elements together into a conversation that feels natural, effortless, and utterly captivating. Imagine yourself in that moment, not thinking about each trick as a separate step, but simply being fully present. Your words flow with rhythm, your silences breathe with meaning, your stories shimmer with life, your compliments land softly but surely, and your teasing dances lightly on the edges of touch. It's not about scripts or formulas anymore. It's about your unique presence, your authentic self, shining through every gesture, every glance, every breath. I once spoke with a woman named Miriam, who at 62 had learned this dance the hard way. After years of feeling invisible in romantic settings, she began practicing these flirting arts slowly, almost shyly. But as she grew more confident, her conversations transformed. One evening, she told me about a moment at a small gathering when she found herself talking to a man she barely knew. She didn't try to impress him with facts or accomplishments. Instead, she listened deeply, letting silence hang between their words just long enough to spark intrigue. She shared a small story, a memory of a place she loved, painted with emotions and mystery, never fully explained. She complimented him on something she noticed in his demeanor, something sincere and unexpected, and when he laughed, she let her fingers brush lightly against his arm, a touch that felt natural, warm, and inviting. That night, their conversation wasn't just an exchange of words. It was a connection vibrant, electric, and unforgettable. And Miriam realized she had become the woman who didn't chase attention, but naturally commanded it. This is the gift of mastering these flirting tricks. They aren't tricks in the sense of manipulation. They are tools of genuine connection. They invite you to slow down, to listen, to share, and to play. They remind you that attraction is a dance between mystery and revelation, between giving and withholding, between presence and invitation. And they prove that desire does not fade with age. It deepens. It becomes richer, more nuanced, more rewarding. When you approach conversation with this blend of confidence and subtlety, you create an irresistible energy that draws men toward you. Not because you try to be someone else, but because you are fully and beautifully yourself. So the next time you find yourself speaking with a man, whether it's a stranger at a party, a longtime friend, or someone new entering your life, remember these lessons. Trust the power of your pauses. Let your stories shimmer with emotion and mystery. See him with sincerity and compliment what's truly there. And invite him into playful, tender moments that spark a deeper connection. This is the art of seductive conversation that makes men obsessed, at any age. And it's waiting for you. You've come a long way on this journey, exploring the subtle rhythms of conversation, the power of storytelling, the magic of genuine connection, and the thrill of playful teasing. Each piece is a part of a greater whole. The art of seduction through words and presence, perfected over time and experience. Now it's time to own that power, not as a secret to wield over others, but as a celebration of who you are. A woman rich in wisdom, confidence, and desire. A woman who knows that attraction isn't a game of tricks, but a dance of truth and vulnerability wrapped in mystery. You have within you the ability to turn simple conversations into moments charged with meaning. Moments where a man doesn't just listen to you, he feels you. Where your presence lingers long after the last word is spoken. Remember, this art is not reserved for the young or the flawless. It belongs to those who dare to embrace their full selves, who understand that true allure grows deeper with every story told, every silence held, every smile shared. When you speak with intention and grace, when you listen with your heart as well as your ears, when you play and pause and praise with authenticity, you become unforgettable. Men will be drawn not just to the surface of your words, but to the depths beneath them. They will want to unravel your mysteries, share your laughter, and meet the woman you truly are. This is your invitation, to step into your power, to own your voice, and to experience the intoxicating art of seductive conversation at any age. So go ahead, speak with confidence, pause with purpose, tell your stories, offer your sincere compliments, tease with tenderness. Because when you do, you don't just talk to men, you captivate them. You enchant them. You make them truly obsessed with the woman you are. And that, above all, is a gift for you and for those lucky enough to hear you.